Hey everyone, today we are watching a video from Chris Booy again, titled I Went to the March for Australia rally, What Really Happened? Let's start it up.
Hi, my name's Chris, I live in Australia, and today I'm in Brisbane at the March for Australia rally. Today, thousands of Australians have rallied in Brisbane City. We're marching for Australia, there's flags everywhere. It's just heartwarming to see so many people from my country uniting together on one walk, one march.
It doesn't matter where you came from. This is not about identity today. This is about Australia. And they're going to look at you and they're going to find some courage in themselves to stand up against their own tyrannical governments that are undermining their children's futures. So let's show the world what we can do as Australians. Because when Australians put their back into it, we can do anything. We can do anything. We've done it before. We'll do it again. We will build the best country on this planet. And if you want to come here, it's a golden ticket. It's not an open gate. Earn your ticket. Earn it. You deserve better, Australia. You don't need $1 trillion in debt from bureaucracy and multi-layered government stealing from you every single day. Time for that to end. You don't need mass migration to build voting blocks and housing developments in 15-minute cities where your kids will never see a backyard again. That's not going to happen. This is a protest against a system that is undermining your future, a system that wants to steal your children's ability to own a home, to build a business, to have a family. They want you fat, dumb and lazy. They want you sick. They want you living in a prison cell where they can switch you on and switch you off. And call me a conspiracy theorist and a tinfoil hat cooker. I don't care. I've had it all before. You keep calling me, mate. According to the right wing, I'm not right wing enough. And according to the lefties, I'm a Nazi. So what is it? What am I? I'm an Australian. Australians, and we are here together now in this moment to draw the line in the sand. Trust me when I say that there are politicians and big corporate interests all over this country right now watching you. They're looking at you. They've got eyes on everywhere. And what you do here today will define what happens next. So we can show them that we can do better, that we deserve better, that our Anzacs gave a lot more than we could ever hope for or give ourselves, so that we have the opportunity to be here in this beautiful garden today.
I actually really like that guy's speech, even though he mentioned mass immigration, and it's good that he said mass immigration, and he didn't really resort, to racism in order to get his point across. I think that's very important, because they're being painted as Nazis, right? By the left, they're being painted as, white supremacists, extremists. And that speech had no extremism in it, in my opinion. That was very common sense. You want Australians to be able to have their own homes. You want them to be able to live the way they want to live, not be forced to just provide, the housing in apartment blocks so everybody, relies on the government. You don't want that. You want the conditions of the economy that are being broken by the government and all of their intervention to be stopped. So, very good speech. Although just briefly, you can tell that it's very it's represented, like the representatives over there or the people over there are pretty much predominantly white from what you can see, right? And I suppose that's the worrying thing. I don't want this movement to essentially be a racist movement, but the speeches are coming across as more tolerant, but overall the vigor that's driving it all is based in racism. That would be horrible, because it's just playing into the government's hands of further dividing the people, and it actually proves that the government is correct and that they're extremists, right? So I suppose if I had a recommendation for the organizers, is to reach out to other groups that are not necessarily pure white, that are also equally nationalistic for the Australian, interest of every Australian being able to afford their own home and such. I don't think that this should be limited to, white people, because I think everybody wants a home, right? And so when it's like this, or this is the way it looks, it becomes easy for the government to be able to paint it in the way that they want. So that is certainly something to think about. I would hope that any person from a different ethnicity, if they were to show up, that they wouldn't get attacked or anything like that. And there hasn't been any reports of that, to be honest.
Send them home, I get it, right? The media are going to cut that clip, and you all just became Nazis. So let's think about this. If we just chill for a second, that'd be really good. I really appreciate all that. We all share one common cause here. We want to stop close the gates and stop immigration. We want to stop mass immigration. We want to stop your country from being stolen from you. We are here for one singular focus. And when we get that dealt with, we can have a constructive debate about what happens next. But first of all, we've got to shut the gates. Okay, guys, we're going to...
And this is where I split with the person who's giving the speech, is because first things first, we need to close the gates. Okay, but if you don't have mass immigration, it doesn't necessarily mean that all your other problems go away. Because housing isn't caused by mass immigration, it's caused by a number of issues within the building industry as well. You have the unions, you have the construction companies, and they all want to make sure that building prices stay high, because most of them are homeowners. You have the boomers as well with, their property portfolios. They don't want the prices to go down. And so, again, the solution isn't to stop mass immigration, because that is a symptom. I actually like the sign that they're holding up here, which is corruption. What needs to be stopped is government corruption. Government corruption is the reason why mass immigration is happening, because it benefits the government for immigration to happen, and it makes the GDP numbers look good, which makes them look good. And it's because of government corruption that the average Joe is not being listened to, because the people with the money are able to influence the politicians to make projects or decisions that are beneficial to them. And so, again, I am the kind of person where if you go to the doctor and they're trying to handle your symptoms, I don't agree with that. I prefer to know what the root cause of things are, go straight for the root. And for me, the root of the problem is government corruption. Until government corruption can be controlled, until controls are in place that limit the ability for politicians to be able to make money on the side from things that aren't in the people's interest, you can pretty much forget about any meaningful change happening. And so it makes no sense to say, oh yeah, I just want to stop mass immigration. Why? Because you're going to have a candidate, just like Trump, that comes up and says he's going to stop it, but once he's in power, it ain't going to happen. Why? Because of government corruption, right? So again, so like that's the main thing for me. We need a candidate that's going to be so heavily against government corruption that they implement a lot of policies that get rid of it. And what you will find is naturally the bad eggs will no longer go into politics because it is not financially lucrative for them, right? Anyways, that's my point of view.
One that we can all agree on, and it's about the fake news. Is everybody ready for some fake news chanting? I can't hear you, Brisbane. Are we ready? And has everybody had enough of fake news? Okay, here we go. We're going to practice. We'll be a bit rusty-dusty like before, but we'll nail it. Okay, the fake news chant's pretty easy. Are we ready? I'll do it slowly, and then so we nail it here, and we'll smash it out there. Okay. Okay, the chant is fake news ABC. Fake news ABC. Okay, I'll do this bit slowly. It's only 4 lines. Ready? Fake news ABC. Ready? Eroding our democracy. Eroding our democracy. Ready? News.
And this is where I start to essentially think that it becomes meaningless. When it becomes a demonstration, when it becomes, saying a bunch of slogans, it's very meaningless, in my opinion. Like, for example, fake news ABC. Is ABC really the cause? I mean, if you are a company, a private company, and the government says, we're going to do something for you, or we're going to increase the government budget for press releases, and that's going to result in an increase of your income if you always stick to our talking points. Well, of course you're going to do it, right? And so I know that people think democracy, the media has to be the ones that keep the government in check. But who is the one that provides the licenses for media to become media to begin with, mainstream media? Who's the one that provides the license to use a radio frequency on FM stations, for example? Government. Who awards the licenses for people to set up broadcasting networks? Government. So if you know that your boss that is in charge of providing you the license, giving you the stamps of approval that you're following through regulations, tells you to do something, you likely have to do it. And so, again, this person, fake news, ABC, you're blaming ABC, right? Where at the end of the day, it goes back to what? It goes back to government corruption. The government should not be wielding their power on regulations, on licenses, on all these, the government institutions that essentially control the entire industry. They should not be wielding that in a way that would provide benefit for the person that is currently in charge to look good or to push an agenda. But that is likely going to happen in every case, right? And so, again, how do you stop it from happening? Is by controlling the people that are in power, controlling the corruption.
ABC! Fake news, ABC! Eroding our democracy! Eroding our democracy! Corruption is plain to see! Corruption is plain to see! We are the enemy! We are the enemy!
A piece of paper gets torn apart. The Australian spirit will never be torn apart. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! 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 Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
I don't know how long I'll get to be concreting, because the body's falling apart, let's be honest. But I've got young workers, right, and I used to tell them, mate, in a year you'll be full-time. Save the house deposit. Get a home in Ipswich, right? I can't sell that dream to my workmates, and it's not bloody good enough. Albanese, he ran on the last election this year. He said he was going to reduce immigration. He absolutely lied to all of us. People in good faith voted for that guy because they were sick to death of what the Liberal Party's been doing, because both of them are as bad as each other.
All right, so there, right there. So, if the Liberal Party has been like that, if the Labour Party, you've known that they're pretty much pro-mass immigration, and you believed them, and you voted for them, where's the problem really? The problem is within the populace. They are so easy to believe their politicians. They are so easy to be divided by their politicians. The mainstream media starts going on about mass immigration and they're on board straight away. The media starts going on about white supremacists and, the other side is ready to go, oh, these are white supremacists. Nobody's willing to hear each other out. They're willing to follow idols, though, such as politicians who are giving them fake promises, which they just admitted here, that they cannot be trusted, and yet they still trust them. So, again, the problem is government corruption, and the problem is the people do not focus on that. They focus on a mess of crap that is not bloody important, that will not provide them benefit at all. All you're doing is saying that, hey, mass immigration is now a topic that we value. And so the government will bring out an agent that is going to come, pretend to be on their side, say mass immigration is the answer. We're going to, stop mass immigration. We're going to solve all this problem. And then what? He'll get in power. If he does anything on mass immigration, it's not to stop it, it's to exacerbate the division. Why? Because the more division he can create, the more of a problem it becomes, the more support he can gather by leaning into that problem. So that's why this is just complete ridiculousness. There is a protest coming soon in Australia, which I actually have heard that it's being met with quite a bit of backlash because it's going to the root of the problem. It's about government corruption. And I would hope that the people that showed up for this rally, if they're not white supremacists, then they should show up to the rally that's coming up, because that is the root of the problem of mass immigration. You can't stop people from coming here because most Australians, and this is the thing, the white supremacists won't admit it, most Australians are the children of immigrants. When they first came over, they didn't understand anything. Like, they didn't understand how to speak English. They were viewed as outsiders as well. When the Greeks came over, they were viewed as outsiders. They were called wogs. Same as the Lebanese. They were viewed as outsiders. They were called wogs. And so it's always going to be the case that the immigrants that come in are always going to be viewed as enemies. Why? Because that's politically beneficial as well. But why do you allow the government to play you over and over again with the same strategy? It's just ridiculous. If you want meaningful change, change something that hasn't been changed in ages from the very beginning, or else you're just asking them to set up one problem after the other. We need to end government corruption. That is the primary thing. And how that works is pass a bunch of laws that make it extremely easy for anybody to charge a representative for corruption. Make it extremely easy. What you want is people that become politicians to not want to become a politician for power and for wealth. And the only way you're going to do that is to make it so difficult for you to be able to accumulate wealth while you're in your position of power that it becomes something that the people that are obsessed with power and corruption will get too tired to deal with. It's not worth it. It's not worth my time. I get into power. What, I actually have to represent these people? And that's the thing. These people that are in charge right now, they don't want to represent people. Just like the videos that I've made previously on Indonesia, like they don't feel like they're a representative of the people. They feel like they're the rulers of the people. And that's the same case everywhere you go. It's just they're better at playing pretend. And so, Australia still has a while to go before it can get to the root of the issue, I still feel.
They dragged us through COVID together. They locked us down. They sent families broke. The families aren't having as many children because they can't afford it. How are you going to pay for an $800,000 mortgage? How many people in this country earn over $100,000? It's not fucking real. Some guy's saying 6% of people could afford houses now. How are you gonna put a ring on a young lady's finger and give her security and a family, marry her and have kids if you can't put a roof over your bloody head? It's not good enough. That's why we're here. I work in the industry. We can't build enough homes to house the people in the country.
And now I'm going to talk about another completely different issue, but is related, right? So how are you going to say, right? Because the solution to his problem that he's screaming about right now is, how are you going to get married when you can't afford a house? Well, then the question becomes, if you could afford a house, would you get married? And the thing is, that people don't want to admit, is that the domestic white population in most Western countries have completely been put off having families and having children. In fact, you have the feminist movement going around stating that it's almost like slavery to have a child. I'm glad I didn't have a child, or else, my life would have been boring and this is not what I wanted to live like, blah, blah, blah. And why is the reason that a lot of people don't want to get married today? I mean, I know a lot of Australians, and this may be anecdotal, but I know a lot of Australians that essentially don't get married, and they essentially just live in the same house together forever as partners. And what is the reason for that? Is it because their house is on a mortgage, they can't afford it, so they decide, we're not going to get married and we're just going to live together? No. So what is the cause of the expensive housing? Only mass immigration? Not the fact that Australia has some of the slowest approval processes in the entire world, where, a single family home will get approved in the States for maybe within 2 weeks. And in Australia, it would take something like 6 to 7 months. It's not because of that. See, there are so many problems. And to say mass immigration is going to solve it, no. Is that going to solve the marriage laws? Is that going to make it so that people want to get married because they feel like the risk makes sense? No. And again, so they're willing to point left, they're willing to point right, but they don't want to point at exactly the problem, which is government corruption. They have made a bunch of regulations and a bunch of laws that have made it impossible for the Australian way of life. Right? These people want the Australian way of life. They want the ability to be able to move into different classes of living. They want to be able to attain wealth. They want to be able to know that if they work hard, they'll be able to achieve something. They'll be able to have a house. They're not treading in water constantly, right? And the only way to solve that is again, as I mentioned in a few of my videos, is a holistic solution, which is end government corruption. From there, you go step by step to clear everything out. Everything else that you try to solve before that is not going to happen, because everything that they create is to create another problem. The more problems, the more people are into politics. If there were no problems in society, people could care less who's in charge, right?
There's bloody 10 cities in this city, everywhere. We've had enough. They need to listen to us. Across this country, right now, people are protesting. We are speaking up.
And just to be the devil's advocate in that, what have the results been so far with all these protests? I'd really be interested to know what has been the result. Because for me, big fat zero. Nothing has happened. Whether it be the protests on the pro-Palestinian side, hasn't really changed anything. Recognition of a Palestinian state doesn't mean anything. If you're still sending weapons, you're still engaging, you're still, giving your, putting your mobilizing your soldiers for whatever it is that America wants to do to go into war, helping America bomb countries. Essentially, all of that is causing the mass immigration anyways, right? So, again, nothing has been achieved by either side. And the reason why is because either side are at each other's throats. So stupid. If you are somebody who believes in wanting real change and you are fighting on one side or the other, you're an idiot. Because the only way to achieve change is everybody coming together, because that's the only way that the government will change, because they're so afraid of that happening. Right? So again, forget about what you want and instead think about what you want to achieve. And once you get to the point of what do I want to achieve, then you go, how do I do it? And I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be division. Actually, 10 out of 10, it's not going to be division. It's not going to be looking at others and separating yourself from them. That is not the solution. Almost ever is that ever the solution. Almost never, sorry. Gotta love how they, right after I start talking, they go, send them home, send them home. Yeah, that is exactly what the government wants to hear right there.
We've now left Roper Street Parklands. We've started the march. I believe we're going to Parliament House right now. So far, there hasn't been any arrests. It's all been a peaceful rally.
He's right here. He's in all of us.
We are marching through the main streets of Brisbane right now. And you can hear the frustration in people's voices, but we're all united here. You know, an elbows or wanker chant happening. It's been going over and over again. But the thing is, the media's going to turn around and say, oh, there's only a few thousand. There is tens of thousands of people out here. The city is marching together united. One of the crowd favourite chants today is elbows a wanker and elbows a traitor. And that one, oi! 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 And that one too's a crowd favourite.
Albanese is a traitor. Albanese to go.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Maybe not the start.
See, so who's in power right now? Anthony Albanese. So they're saying Albo needs to go. But did he start mass immigration? And before him, Scott Morrison, did he start mass immigration? And these people, most of them that are on the streets, they're probably liberal. They're liberal voters, right? Labor liberal. So you would probably think that most of these people would be voting liberal in the next cycle, and a lot of them, maybe 20%, maybe 30% are probably here not because they actually care about mass immigration or stopping it, but mainly they're probably there because they view Labor as being the current government, and they're liberal, so they're opposition to it, and so they're just following. And I mean, the day where they say Labor and liberal have to go, politics have to be cleaned up, all our representatives don't represent us, that will be the day where Australia finally wakes up and real change can be made. Unfortunately, at this stage, the way it is right now, I don't see this being able to achieve change aside from being used by the government for political purposes, unfortunately.
Needs to go! Needs to go!
This country, we call on everyone.
I thought we were stopping here.
Well, there's speeches and stuff happening in front of the Parliament House right now, and the council also diverted that way, so it's all happening.
Three in the middle.
Open your eyes, the government lies. I really like that one. Open your eyes, the government lies. I wish I could lean into that one. All right, well, thanks for watching today. I'm interested to know your thoughts, especially the Australians that are watching, whether or not you believe that this will result in any meaningful change. For, as we saw, it was quite a bit of a monoculture when it comes to the ethnicity that's involved. Do you think that that's sufficient in order to get the government to change? Or do you think that the government will be apathetic? Or even worse, they will use this movement as a way to engage further in their policies? I'd be interested to know. Anyways, please like if you enjoyed the content and subscribe for new videos when they're available to watch.